Hey, Yankees fans, we really need to talk about what's going on with this team right now, because honestly, it's hard to watch some of the decisions being made. Let's start with Anthony Volpe, because this is becoming a major story, and it really reflects the way this organization has been handling some of its young talent. Volpe, as many of you know, has been dealing with a shoulder issue that started back in early May. He felt that pop in his shoulder, and since then, it seems like he has been playing through pain that should have been addressed immediately. Just thinking about how long this has been going on is frustrating. This isn't just about performance. This is about a player's health, his development, and the way an organization handles its prospects. Volpe was one of the top 5 prospects in baseball just a couple of years ago. That kind of ranking sets expectations. Fans expect a lot, but it also comes with responsibility on the team's part to manage that player correctly. You don't just put a young player like that out on the field day after day when he's clearly injured. Since that initial shoulder pop, Volpe's numbers have suffered. He's hitting around .197 since then, which is a huge drop from what everyone expected. He still shows some power. 19 home runs this season, nearly 50 extra base hits, but his on-base percentage is abysmal, sitting around .268 for the season and dipping even lower after the injury. It's not just the stats, though. It's the way the organization has been handling him that's so concerning. Instead of prioritizing his recovery, they've kept rolling him out there, expecting him to perform at a high level despite a serious physical limitation. You can see it in the streaks he's had. Sometimes he looks good, sometimes he disappears completely. That inconsistency isn't because he lacks talent. It's because he's been playing hurt for months. Now, don't get me wrong, Volpe has undeniable talent. He has pop in his bat, and the flashes of potential are obvious. He's a player who can change a game with one swing, and when healthy, he could be a cornerstone for this team. But the way this season has been managed is nothing short of careless. The Yankees put all this marketing behind him. They built him up as a hometown hero, and they made him one of the faces of the franchise's future. You would think that would come with some level of protection, some understanding that the team needs to make the right decisions for his long-term development. But that hasn't been the case. Volpe has essentially been left to deal with his injury while still being asked to deliver results at the major league level. It's frustrating to watch because you know what this does to a player's confidence. Volpe came up through the minors, played well in AAA, had a strong spring training, and earned his spot in the lineup. The expectation was that this year he would take that next step, solidify himself as the everyday shortstop, and begin fulfilling the promise that made him a top prospect. But instead, the shoulder injury has derailed his season. The numbers reflect it, the defensive struggles reflect it, and yet the team's approach has been to essentially hope for the best while continuing to push him out there. It raises real questions about player management and the organization's priorities. Do they care more about immediate performance than the long-term health and development of a young player? Because that's exactly how it looks right now. And it's not just Volpe. The bullpen has been another glaring weakness that has been mishandled all season. From the very start, there have been consistent problems with relief pitching. In the first game against Detroit, 4 relievers were used over 3 innings, giving up 7 hits, 9 earned runs, 3 strikeouts, and 6 walks. In the following game, 2 and 5 relievers were used over 3 innings, allowing 11 hits, 9 earned runs, and barely recording strikeouts, with almost no control. This is a bullpen that clearly needed more attention. The team attempted to address it at the trade deadline, bringing in 3 pitchers, Jake Bird, Duvall, and Bedar, but only one of them has had any success. The others haven't worked out, and that lack of depth and reliability is going to be a huge problem in the playoffs. The mistakes made in managing both Volpe and the bullpen show a pattern of carelessness, a lack of foresight, and perhaps a misunderstanding of the importance of taking care of players who are supposed to be building blocks for the team's future. Volpe's defensive struggles also cannot be ignored. He's been negative 8 outs above average this season, which is a significant drop-off. The question naturally comes up, is this poor defensive performance a result of his shoulder injury? Or is it indicative of something else? Considering how the team has handled his health, it's hard not to believe that the injury has played a major role. A player like Volpe deserves a chance to recover fully, to play healthy, and to show the potential that earned him all the accolades and expectations in the first place. Instead, he's been pushed and pulled, expected to perform while dealing with a lingering injury that could have been managed differently. The consequences aren't just statistical. They affect his confidence, his growth as a player, and potentially his long-term career trajectory. It's really puzzling to think about the mindset here. The Yankees have a top prospect, a player who is highly rated and widely regarded as one of the future stars of the franchise, yet they didn't take decisive steps to protect him. They didn't give him the time to heal properly or bring in a temporary replacement who could handle the position while Volpe recovered. Instead, the decision was made to keep playing him, and the results are evident. His batting average has fallen, his power hasn't been enough to compensate for the lack of on-base skills, and his defensive numbers are concerning. This is exactly the kind of situation that frustrates fans because it's not about talent or potential. It's about poor decision-making at the organizational level, and it directly affects the player and the team's performance. The fact that Volpe is also a homegrown player makes this even more disappointing. Fans tend to set high expectations for players who come up through the system, especially when they show flashes of brilliance early on. Volpe is a Jersey boy, a player who grew up in the system, and he earned his spot through strong performances in the minors and in spring training. The organization should have been patient with him, nurturing his talent and providing the support needed to transition fully to the major league level. Instead, the combination of injury and the team's handling has created a scenario where expectations have been compromised, confidence may be shaken, and overall development is at risk. And yet, despite all this, the flashes of Volpe's ability are still there. His power, the occasional streaks of hitting, show that the talent is real. The question becomes, if he had been fully healthy for the season, what would his numbers look like? Would he be hitting closer to what was expected of a top-5 prospect? Could his defensive game be stronger if the shoulder wasn't holding him back? These are all valid questions, and they reflect the frustration not only of fans but also of anyone watching how the team manages its young players. Decisions like this are not just statistics. They have real consequences for player confidence, for morale, and for the long-term success of the franchise. Continuing with the Yankees situation, it's impossible to ignore how the bullpen has been a constant problem throughout the season. The lack of reliability from relievers has become a defining weakness for this team. Every game feels like a gamble, especially in tight situations, because there's no assurance that the bullpen will hold leads or even keep games competitive. When you look at the early series against Detroit, the numbers are staggering and almost unbelievable. In just a few innings, multiple relievers were used, giving up an enormous number of hits and runs. The strikeouts were minimal, walks were frequent, and it's clear that the coaching staff doesn't have confidence in the arms available. This isn't a one-off. It's a recurring theme that has been going on for months. At the trade deadline, the Yankees try to patch some of the gaps by acquiring Jake Bird, Duvall, and Bedard. On paper, it looked like a reasonable attempt to bolster the bullpen. In reality, only one of these additions has provided consistent results, and the others have struggled significantly. Bird is back in AAA, Duvall has been disappointing, and only Bedard has managed to contribute meaningfully. A team like the Yankees can't afford this kind of inconsistency in relief pitching, especially when heading into the playoffs. It's going to be a huge obstacle because in October, the margin for error is slim. 1 or 2 poor outings can change the trajectory of a series, and this bullpen's track record suggests that risk is extremely high. The lack of depth and preparedness is worrying, and it puts unnecessary pressure on the starting rotation and the offense to compensate for failures that shouldn't even be happening. And it's not just the performance on the mound. It's the way injuries and management decisions have compounded the problem. Players like Anthony Volpe are being pushed while injured, relievers have been overused, and the cumulative effect is showing in the team's overall performance. Confidence is shaken across the roster, and that affects the chemistry and the ability to execute in high-pressure situations. The Yankees have always relied on depth, talent, and discipline, but this season, there seems to be a breakdown in all 3 areas. Fans can see it, the media can see it, and most importantly, the players feel it. You can't mask mismanagement with talent alone, and eventually, the consequences show up on the field. When you consider Volpe's situation in this context, it's even more frustrating. He's a young player who was expected to be a cornerstone of the team's future. Instead, he's become a case study in how poor management of injuries and development can derail even the most promising talent. Playing through pain has affected his batting, his defense, and his confidence. It raises fundamental questions about the organization's priorities. Are they more focused on winning games at all costs? Or are they invested in developing young talent responsibly? Because the decisions this season suggest the former, and that short-term thinking can have long-term repercussions. Fans were excited to see Volpe make the leap to being the everyday shortstop. He had the potential to shine, to become a player who could impact games in every inning, and to validate the hype that came with being a top-5 prospect. Instead, this season has been a mix of flashes of talent and extended periods of struggle, much of it tied directly to his shoulder injury. He's hitting just over 200, the power is there but inconsistent, and defensively he's had a rough season. These are not the numbers of a fully healthy, confident player. This isn't about questioning his talent. It's about understanding the environment he's been forced to play in. The pressure to perform while injured is a huge factor, and it's something the Yankees organization should have mitigated but did not. But before we continue, please remember to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support allows us to keep bringing you the latest news about the New York Yankees. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments. Whispers have been circulating in Major League Baseball circles, and if the rumors prove true, the New York Yankees are about to make a move that could send shockwaves across the league. Sources close to the team suggest that the Bronx Bombers have secured, or are on the verge of securing, ace pitcher CORBIN Burnes to bolster their starting rotation, a signing that would instantly elevate New York's championship aspirations. Burnes, known for his devastating changeup and pinpoint command, has quietly emerged as one of the most dominant pitchers in the National League over the past few seasons. Rumors indicate that the Yankees front office has been quietly negotiating with Burnes' representatives, offering a deal that could make him the centerpiece of a pitching staff already brimming with talent. While no official announcement has been made, insiders hint that the deal could be finalized in the coming days, creating a frenzy among fans and analysts alike. The potential acquisition of Burnes is being described by some sources as a total domination strategy by the Yankees. With Garrett Cole leading the charge and the likes of Luis Severino and Nestor Cortes providing depth, adding Burnes would transform New York's rotation into arguably the most fearsome in baseball. League executives are reportedly buzzing over the move, with speculation that it might trigger a wave of trades and adjustments across both leagues as other teams scramble to respond. In the Bronx, whispers have already reached the fan base, fueling speculation on social media and sparking debates on sports talk shows. Could this be the missing piece that pushes the Yankees past perennial rivals and into World Series contention? Analysts suggest that if Burnes joins the lineup, opposing hitters could be facing one of the most intimidating rotations in decades. Of course, until a formal announcement is made, all of this remains tantalizing speculation. But one thing is certain. If the Yankees do land CORBIN Burnes, the landscape of Major League Baseball could shift dramatically, and the Bronx might just be preparing for an era of pitching dominance unlike anything fans have seen before. Keep your ears open. The rumor mill is working overtime, and the next few days could bring a seismic shakeup in New York. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the New York Yankees, please subscribe to our channel and give us a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.